Good morning. We'll get started in a moment. Good morning. I'm Helen Archontou, CEO of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. Thank you all for taking the time for joining us this morning. The mission of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey is to empower women, promote racial understanding, and advance gender equity. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to welcome and introduce our esteemed speaking panel and those involved in the project, which includes Senator Loretta Weinberg, Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver, Kirsten Branigan, Managing Partner at KSBranigan Law. We also have with us today Sabine Moussi, Vice President of Public Affairs at Capital Impact Group and a member of the work group, and Kathleen Fennelly, New Jersey State Bar Foundation President. You will hear more from each of them shortly. I'd also like to welcome the press, our invited guests, our board of directors, and our YW staff who are also here. Once the speaking portion of the event concludes, we welcome members of the press to raise their virtual hands, where the Q&A portion of our event will be facilitated by Tara Dowdell. You should identify yourself and the publication media outlet you represent and who you are directing your question to. Today, we virtually gather to share the news about an important project that the YWCA of Northern New Jersey has been working on and will launch this June. We have chosen to share this news in April, since this is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, as a nonprofit with a core program that supports survivors of sexual violence. Healing Space, Bergen County's only sexual violence resource center. We know the impact that harassment and intimidation can have on someone. As the leader of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey, who was a state-appointed member of the New Jersey Task Force on Campus Sexual Violence, and who has also worked in sex crimes in my former career, as well as in a political office earlier in my career, I have a unique understanding of this work. We have a short video we would like to show you at this time.
And I want to let you know that support and resources within New Jersey are available to those who have experienced sexual harassment or intimidation. No one should ever be victimized in their workplace, and it's important to always understand your rights.
Who can be sued? It is important to understand that both entities and individuals that violate the law can be liable under the New Jersey law against discrimination. This includes individuals who engage in the conduct, individuals who know about the conduct and fail to take actions, and individuals who aid and abet another's conduct.
So one thing that we have also seen, especially after or in the wake of the Me Too movement, is this concept of bystander intervention and making sure that individuals know that their voice matters so much. When people get together, there are strength in numbers. We've seen this in all of these movements, and we see it also in the workplace. So,
as a nonprofit with a core program that supports survivors of sexual violence, Healing Space, Bergen County's only sexual violence resource center, we know too well the impact harassment and intimidation can have on someone. To anyone that has experienced this form of control and abuse within the political arena or otherwise, we are here for you.
I hope this training video helps create a culture of change and helps ensure that New Jersey provides a safe, inclusive, and tolerant work environment for all. There is no place in politics or anywhere else for misogyny harassment, or discrimination.
And so what you just saw was a short clip of the project that we're introducing today. Like many others, I had the opportunity to testify at one of the statewide hearings for the work group on harassment, sexual assault, and misogyny in New Jersey politics. While I was there, I listened to hours of testimony of individuals who were harassed, sexually assaulted, and forced to work in a toxic work environment in New Jersey politics. After reviewing the final report of the work group, it was clear to me that the YWCA of Northern New Jersey had an opportunity to help facilitate this urgently needed culture shift. Thanks to the generous financial support of the New Jersey State Bar Foundation and all of those who volunteered their time for this project, we were able to produce a training video, which you saw a clip of just now, creating safe workplaces in New Jersey politics. This video will be distributed to political campaigns offices in June with the goal of raising awareness and educating political campaign staff on how to create safer environments that encourage a culture of respect in the workplace. And now I would like to introduce you to our first speaker. So grateful to have with us today, Senator Loretta Weinberg.
Good morning, and thank you to the YWCA, to you, Helen, and to all of today's participants for unveiling for the public this training video. And although she can't be with us this morning, I want to give a quote tip of the hat to our Lieutenant Governor, Sheila Oliver. Lieutenant Governor Oliver, sorry about that. Lieutenant Governor Oliver was a great partner in the development of the final work product from our women's work group on sexual assault and misogyny in the New Jersey political world. And if there's one thing I've learned throughout my public life, it's that we can come up with a solution momentarily for a specific problem, come up with a law that might address the problem, but it takes constant surveillance, accountability, and nurturing to develop the kinds of environments that we want to develop in this area in our great state of New Jersey. And the YWCA is doing that by, well, I guess more than a year after our report, developing this training video, which will be available to all kinds of political campaigns in order to really improve the atmosphere. And I would also like to take a moment to thank Sue Livio and the Star Ledger for this first series of articles that pointed to the problems that existed in our political environment. So with that, again, thank you, Helen. Thank you to the YWCA. You give me hope that what we did a year ago and 2 years ago and beyond that will continue to flourish here because of endeavors like this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. And now please join me in welcoming Kirsten Branigan, Managing Partner at KSBranigan Law.
Thank you, Helen, and a special thank you to Senator Weinberg for all of the tremendous work that she's done throughout her career and so many of the causes that she has advocated behind and lent support to. We're just thrilled to be part of this project and thank her for all of her efforts throughout her long and distinguished career. As an employment law attorney, I have been passionate for years about working on efforts to prevent and remediate in the area of harassment discrimination, and retaliation. And throughout my career, which has spanned over 25 years, I've been involved in conducting a numerous amount of training sessions and investigations regarding conduct like this. And while New Jersey is a state that has some of the broadest protections in the country when it comes to harassment, all too often we see cases where harassment still occurs at the workplace and discrimination and retaliation occur as well. And so we need to be vigilant, and an important tool in combating these types of issues are to strengthen protections under the law, as Senator Weinberg mentioned. And in fact, the current law that was passed is an example of that. There's also other legislation pending in the space of harassment, which we're hopeful will get passed and will certainly strengthen protections. Another key tool is education and attention on the topic. In the wake of the Me Too movement and other movements such as Black Lives Matter and Stop Asian Hate, this is the type of social dialogue that we need to continue so that we can make improvements on this issue with the goal of course, eradicating harassment, discrimination, and retaliation. Employees need to know what their rights are and understand what constitutes harassment so that they can be aware of it if it happens to them, and also to be aware of it so they avoid conduct that might cross boundaries. They also need to know that their employer has a safe environment for them to report concerns to, and to make sure that they won't be retaliated against, because that's absolutely prohibited under the law. And also that the employer will take action and stop the harassment, and that there'll be appropriate consequences. And some of the key challenges in the area are still that many employers don't have written policies and don't conduct training, even though for years New Jersey's courts and through case law has required this. We don't have a clear statutory requirement here in New Jersey, which is the subject of one of the pending laws. And so other employers, while they may do some training, and sometimes it's a check the box type training, and it's not effective, and it doesn't really, it's not really geared towards stopping the harassment. It's just to minimize liability. Or their policies exist in writing, but are just lip service, and nothing really happens, and they're not followed. And so those are the types of changes that really need to happen. There needs to be meaningful, interactive training on the topic by individuals that are well-informed and experienced and can answer questions and go through the nuances of this topic, that everybody has to make sure that they curtail their conduct to not cross boundaries and violate the law and policies. So there also needs to be more of a focus on implicit bias, on unconscious bias, cultural awareness, diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as areas such as bystander intervention and avoiding bullying type conduct, and making sure that everybody is civil in the workplace. And that's really goes to the heart of ensuring that we have bias-free, comfortable, safe workplaces, which everybody is entitled to in the state of New Jersey. And this is not an insurmountable goal. I think we have to keep mindful of that we need to work together as a society. And that means employers and employees can work together and make sure that with collective action, we can say that harassment and discrimination and retaliation are a thing of the past, and not something that we just have to put up with in our children and generations to come. So I'm so excited and thrilled to be part of this project and continuing the dialogue on this very important topic. And certainly thanks to Helen, the YW, and the State Bar Foundation for funding this project and drawing the well-needed attention to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsten. And thank you for participating today. And now I'd like to introduce you to Sabine Massé, Vice President of Public Affairs Capital Impact Group. And she also was a member of the work group on harassment, sexual politics, and misogyny in New Jersey politics. And we're so grateful she could be here today to share her perspective.
Thank you so much, Helen. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much to all the wonderful work that's being continued by everybody, including Senator Weinberg, the YWCA, as well as the New Jersey Bar. We're just so thankful that this important issue is being continuously tackled because, as the other wonderful panelists have alluded to, this is a long time process that really needs a lot of time, energy, and attention, frankly, because this is not just to improve our work lives. It's really to improve and change and hopefully build upon our social cultural change of what we see going on in the workplace. So many feel voiceless and not empowered and not, frankly, armed with the tools they need to communicate and express what they're going through, let alone to have a mechanism in place that they can actually report to have some accountability. And finally, these metrics are being put in place where, you know, there's accountability, there's also a lot of support and structure within the systems and infrastructures themselves in a way that we haven't seen before. So I'm just so thankful to be part of these conversations because having this type of project funded is going to be essential to act as a training resource, educational purposes, as well as just, you know, reflect the changing times. You know, all of us have a different seat at the table and different opportunities now. But if there is a cultural pushback against this change, you know, we're not going to really develop or see any progress. So by arming folks, both those in power and those that serve under them, with communication tools, the right vocabulary, understanding of social and cultural differences and struggles, kind of just recognizing that this need is only just begun, but it's really essential. It's going to transform the workplace. It's just going to really help to make you feel a little bit more secure. And as again, my esteemed colleague said, that's exactly what you're entitled to. So I'm really just so proud of this work. And it's just so exciting to see what's going to come of it, because this is one of many important conversations and projects and really helpful resources to come out of these conversations. And I'm just so grateful for all the support.
Thank you, Sabine. And our last panelist for this morning, I'd like to welcome Kathleen Fennelly of the New Jersey State Bar Foundation. She is the president of their board of directors. We would not be here today without their generous funding that supported this project that we put together and presented to them in a grant application.
Good morning. My name is Kathleen Fennelly, and I'm the president of the New Jersey State Bar Foundation. The foundation leads the nation in providing free, law-related and violence prevention education to the public. By centralizing the legal community's public education effort through the foundation, we have created one of the most comprehensive law-related public education initiatives in the country. Our free programs reach out statewide and are aimed at all segments of the population, from school children to senior citizens. Some of our most successful programs are those in which we've combined efforts to co-sponsor a project with another organization to amplify the message and reach some new audiences. The YWCA of Northern New Jersey is one of those organizations. For the past 3 years, the foundation has provided grant support for the YWCA Northern New Jersey's educational efforts through funding from the IOLTA Fund of the Bar of New Jersey. This year, we are extremely proud to continue that partnership and help underwrite the project you've heard about this morning. The foundation's fundamental purpose is to make a difference in people's lives by helping them understand the law and their rights and responsibilities under it. The value of our citizens having a clear understanding of civics and the importance of the rule of law in a democratic society cannot be underestimated. With a long history of providing anti-harassment and anti-bullying trainings and education, the foundation is proud to support the YWCA-NNJ's goal of violence prevention and looks forward to seeing the positive impact of this project on political party organizations and small campaigns. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. And now that concludes the speaking portion of the event. We will take questions from the press, and I invite Tara Dowdell to help us facilitate our Q&A.
Thank you, Helen, and thank you to everyone who participated today, all of the speakers for your time and your commitment to this very, very important issue and your commitment to solutions. Are there any questions at this time? We will accept questions from members of the media. If you'd like to ask your question out loud, then we can feel free to turn your camera off and unmute yourself. I see we have a question from Susan Livio that I think I can answer very easily, unless Helen, you'd like to answer it, but is the full video available? Yes, we will be making the video available to you, and you can feel free to actually turn, if you like, Susan, you can turn your, unmute yourself and turn your camera on and ask any other questions. But yes, we will make that video available to you. We can send it to you following this press conference.
Great. And how will it be made available to campaigns? How will you go about sending that?
So I can speak to that. We are working, our team at the YWCA is working with, we'll be getting it out to campaign leads across the state that are heading up campaigns. We are working with the counties where they will be registered. We have reached out to the head of both parties. They are aware of the project, and we will also be working with them to distribute it across to campaigns. Again, we know that this is not an issue connected to any party. So we need everyone to be embracing the opportunity to watch the video and train their staff accordingly.
Do you have recommendations as to how the video should be used? Like perhaps like, en masse, before the campaign, or as people are hired, is there an onboarding process that you would like to see this, presented to each person?
I think like all training videos, or I should say all training that we would normally do in any HR environment in a organization, we would want every employee who starts within the organization to, at the start of their time, watch the video to receive the information and be able to have it during their time, working with the campaign. So that would be our hope. And the best practice would be if, political offices that are established and not just for campaigns that might be utilizing it, then annually from there, that they would show it again to their employees as a refresher.
Is anybody on the call able to address their thoughts as to what will happen to the pending legislation that the work group put forward that would create, a separate body that would investigate these complaints?
Maybe Senator Weinberg, would you like to comment on that specific question?
I can only comment on what actually did. We decided in the Senate as we were addressing these issues that we needed some kind of an agency outside of the political party structure for people to be able to go to with complaints. And we settled on ELEC, the Election Law Enforcement Commission, passed a bill in the state Senate, I think almost unanimously, along with a $2 million budget allocation to set such a unit up within ELEC. That bill died in the last legislature in the Assembly. I've lobbied with the Assembly, I've lobbied with Assembly members, and have received no feedback on whether or not they are ready, willing, and able. So I think we need some grassroots support in that area. And if I may, just to take Sue Livio's question a little further, Helen, I think it would be a great idea if we shared the training video with the people at ELEC and see if they are willing to share it with various campaigns that must file disclosure reports with them, because that also includes many nonpartisan campaign endeavors that are outside the structure of the two major political parties. So if we can get their cooperation, I think that would be helpful.
We will absolutely be sharing it far and wide, and we will do outreach to elect. So thank you, Senator, for sure. And I also wanted to follow up and say to Sue, we are also putting together a small toolkit, a kind of an intro toolkit to go when we send out the video, so that those who are showing it will be able to have some information as to how to share it within their staff. And also, I also would like to say that the YWCA will keep on the advocacy to support what Senator Weinberg just shared. And I know that others who are on the panel also feel strongly that this can't be dropped, and we will be active and participating in advocacy accordingly.
I just wanted to clarify something Senator Weinberg said. And by the way, hi, Senator Weinberg. Nice to see you again. When you were describing your advocacy with the Assembly, are you talking about that prior to the end of the session, or since you've departed working behind the scenes?
Both, Sue. I lobbied at the end of the session and got some feedback on some of the changes that some people in the Assembly thought should be made, some of which would have really gutted the bill, and then have lobbied since I've left the legislature.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
And I believe Kirsten Branigan may have a comment she'd like to make on the same topic. And if if Sabine would like anything she'd like to share, please jump in.
Yes, thank you, Helen. A couple of things I wanted to mention. I think this video is a wonderful starting off point for campaigns to have and to communicate and disseminate. But I also want to make sure that the folks, on the campaign trail and different individuals on both sides of the aisle understand that this is just the tip of the iceberg of an overview of information, and that this is not really meant to take the place of actual interactive training where individuals can actually ask questions and discuss the nuances, etc. So it is certainly, great for those purposes, but want to make sure that one of the key areas, and challenges that have come up are when employees are just shown a video and they can't ask questions. And, for purposes of time, we certainly couldn't get into, fact patterns and scenarios of real life work experiences that happen during a typical training session. So I just, think that that's important, as this gets circulated to remind folks of. And also, the legislation that Senator Weinberg mentioned, the status of that, hopefully the attention will also refocus on the efforts of the legislation that was entered after, in the wake of Me Too. New Jersey took a very thoughtful approach to what it was going to do, which was hearings were hosted by the Division on Civil Rights, and testimony was held. Helen testified, I testified, other individuals throughout the state testified, and a really comprehensive report was put together in 2020 and released right before the pandemic. And unfortunately, thereafter, the bill was introduced in the Assembly, and then Senator Weinberg also introduced it in the Senate. And it really hasn't gone anywhere, where other states like New York and California and other progressive states that often New Jersey is in, neck to neck sync with in terms of protections, passed laws, and New Jersey still hasn't. So it would really be a shame that with the momentum of the Me Too movement and the focus on that issue, that this falls off the radar of the legislature. So hopefully this project and other projects to come will refocus the attention back where it needs to be to, get the enhancements to the harassment protections here in New Jersey back on the legislative radar.
Thank you, Kirsten. Thank you, Kirsten. I also, want to share that for us, we plan on adding pieces to this process as, the State Bar the New Jersey State Bar Foundation can attest to, because we've had multiple projects we've done with them. We had done another set of trainings with them that we had done for campus sexual violence. And, the project grew each year. And so our hope would be that we can extend this project a little bit further in a coming year and add some pieces that, as Kirsten identified, as needing a little bit more of a deeper dive, that this was the first step and that there's definitely more work to do here. And we're committed to partnering to do that. Sabine, is there anything you'd like to add at this time to this conversation we're wrapping up specifically?
Yes. Thank you so much, Helen. I just wanted to really echo the sentiments of my colleagues here on the discussion, because this project, while it's so important and really just essential to help provide us with some just basic tools in order to navigate this complicated process, at the same time, this is also just one of the many different routes that we need to take in order to help prevent and help really overall get rid of sexual harassment and mistreatment for employees in New Jersey, especially those within the political realm. This project is a really helpful first step, but I definitely encourage those who are interested in learning more to check out resources provided by NJ CASA and YWCA Northern New Jersey. They have a lot of great information out there. I think arming yourself as somebody who wants to protect themselves is really the most helpful thing that you can do for yourself. Understand your rights, the law, and really what you're entitled to and how you should be protected. Now, in terms of legislation, as a lobbyist, I do definitely believe in the process of public policy and lawmaking, but I also understand it is arduous and frankly, sometimes takes longer than we'd like. What I will say is that there is definitely an appetite in our state, both from our administration and from the legislature, to really honor this commitment against this fight. But of course, by continuing projects like this, keeping up the pressure, making sure that this doesn't fall away from the public eye, and really just staying on top of what's needed and what we can do to help propel this message. I think those are the things that really we should focus on in order to kind of help this project get legs and really provide whatever support we can. But I'm just so looking forward to what's to come, because this is just the start. Thank you.
Those are all the questions that I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Do we have any other questions? I know that we have News 12. Do we have any other questions from News 12? Also, do any of the folks who are watching have any questions? Because we do want to ensure that you are helping to spread the word. And as Helen, the CEO of YWCA Northern New Jersey, just stated, and as Senator Loretta Weinberg also articulated, we do need your advocacy. So do any of the folks who are tuning in have any questions? If so, please place them in the Q&A. So at this time, I don't see any additional questions. So Helen, would you like to close us out and see if any of the panelists have any closing thoughts?
Yes, thank you. If any of the panelists do have any closing thoughts I'd like to say, otherwise I'll make a closing statement. But Senator,
yes,
please.
Helen, just a word. Sabine was on this call, who served as a member of the women's work group, and we had a very large group of women that ran the gamut of both political parties, all ages, all experiences, young and older of us in the political world. And I want to thank each and every one of them, if there any of them are listening, for the work they did, and then to the YWCA for keeping that work in the spotlight and for moving us ahead. So thank you all.
Thank you, Senator. Kirsten, any closing comments, or Sabine?
Just again, a heartfelt thanks to everybody involved and the passion and the commitment to this issue. I've known Helen for a number of years and know that she really is committed to this issue, and just so happy that we can work together on this, and certainly hope for the sake of my own children and my daughter and my sons, when they enter the workplace, that they will not have to just accept harassment as something that comes with part of the job. And I look forward to that day, and I plan to be here to see that day. So thank you to all of you for all of your commitment to the issue.
Thank you, Kirsten. If there are no other comments, any other panelists are welcome to make one last statement. And if not, I'll just close us out. I'd like to thank you all again for being with us, to our speakers, to our special guests, to the press for joining us today. I want to acknowledge all of those who helped assemble this dynamic group for this morning. I know it was a quick turnaround, but this is important, and we're just so grateful for all who participated. Also, many thanks to the New Jersey State Bar Foundation for their commitment to making systemic change and generously supporting this project. To our beloved Senator Weinberg for always keeping us firm on this topic. To the Lieutenant Governor, who I know couldn't be with us here today, but was so gracious to participate in the video. Kirsten Branigan, her colleague Beth Zoller, who's part of the video, and so grateful to Sabine and Kathleen for being part of this morning's conversation as well. If anyone you know would benefit from learning about this project, please share this press conference with them. You can find that on our Facebook page at YWCA NNJ. And please, we do encourage you to share the video. This helps keep pressure on the issue and keeps it in the forefront of the conversation. If anyone has experienced any form of control or abuse within the political arena or otherwise, please know that we are here for you. There is a 24-hour hotline of support that is available. You can call through Healing Space at 201-487-2227. No matter where you live in the state, if you're calling, we will direct you to get local support. Again, we are so grateful to everyone who came forward to share their stories, to help shed light on this pervasive problem. You are the catalyst for making a much needed systemic change, and you have helped develop standards and processes to help protect our community against sexual violence. I encourage those working in the political arena to embrace this learning opportunity and get educated on your rights, as well as better understand what types of behaviors are acceptable and permissible in the scope of your daily work within the campaign trail. This will not only empower you for your own safety and to protect others, but it will help you become an agent of change in eradicating this deep-rooted systemic problem. Thank you again for being with us this morning, and to all who've supported this important project. And we look forward to disseminating it out into the political world shortly. Thank you.